When my son forgot my birthday, my daughter-in-law called it just another day. What happened next? Anna awoke on that chilly September morning with a mix of hope and trepidation. Today was her birthday, a day that marked decades of sacrifice, love, and battles fought in silence. She spent sleepless nights juggling 3 jobs to provide for her son, Jake, and his wife, Carla. She had held on to the dream that maybe, just maybe, they would remember. A small cake lay on the counter, a sweet token she prepared the night before, a silent prayer that it would not go unnoticed. As the clock ticked closer to noon, reality began to sink in. Whispers of disappointment rang louder than the cheerful sounds she had imagined. Jake hurried off to work. Carla waved him out the door, oblivious to the day's significance, brushing off Anna's hopeful, happy birthday call with, "It's just another day, Anna." This simple phrase felt like a punch to the gut. Her heart tightened, tears welled in her eyes, yet she couldn't show the hurt. She merely plastered a smile on her face, ambitious in her hopes, but the tears slipped silently down her cheeks as she faced the empty kitchen. The day dragged on, filled with mundane chores and silence that echoed louder than words. As she scrubbed the dishes, it struck her, all those years, all those sacrifices, were they worth it? Would they ever recognize her? She needed hope. She needed something more than a life spent in the shadows. In the evening, she decided to step out, finding herself at a community event connected to the church. She wasn't sure what she expected, but was drawn in by voices that carried warmth. As she listened, she heard stories of neglect, of lonely birthdays, of dreams collected like dust. A flicker of fire ignited within her. She realized she wasn't alone. Inspired, Anna surprised herself by volunteering to lead gatherings for those searching for community and purpose. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each gathering evolved into something beautiful, filled with laughter, stories, and shared meals. Anna felt renewed, a sense of purpose enfolding her like a warm blanket. But just as she began to reclaim her worth, life dealt another heavy blow. At the grand opening of a community center dedicated to local heroes, tension crackled between Anna and Carla. The air was thick with unspoken words, hurt simmering beneath the surface. Then Jake stepped up to speak. His voice wavered, holding a blend of regret and awareness. As murmurs swept through the crowd, Anna's heart pounded. Would this be it? Would he acknowledge everything left unsaid? Would love finally heal the fractures in their family? The room fell silent, waiting for what Jake would say next, as Anna stood frozen, hope fluttering in her chest with each passing second. Would what comes next bring the family together? Jake cleared his throat, glancing around at the expectant faces in the crowd. The community center buzzed with anticipation, but for Anna, that moment felt like the universe had quieted just for her. Time slowly ebbed away as she held her breath, searching her son's face for a glimmer of understanding, a spark of recognition for all she had done. "Mom," he started, his voice trembling, I need to talk to you." The room shifted with whispers, everyone straining to hear what would follow. Anna felt her heart thump loudly, a mix of fear and hope flooding through her veins. "I've been blind," Jake continued. "I never realized how much you sacrificed for me and how little I've appreciated it. I thought I was too busy to celebrate, but I see now that I've taken you for granted." His gaze dropped to the floor, as if the weight of his words was too heavy to carry. Carla stood by, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Anna turned to look at her, searching for some sign of support, but all she found was a face set in stone. Jake looked back up, his eyes glistening. "I know it's just one birthday here and there, but I want to do better. You deserve better." He stepped forward, closing the space between them. Anna's breath hitched. Could this really be happening? This was the moment she had longed for yet dreaded, all wrapped up in one. She felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. But just as she was about to speak, Carla interjected. Okay, let us not make a scene. It's really not that big of a deal. We all forget things, Carla said, her voice laced with irritation. We just have so much going on. Can't you see how much we have to do? A wave of frustration ebbed and flowed through Anna. For a moment it was as though Carla had pulled a thick curtain around them, blocking out all the warmth Jake had just offered. Carla, this day matters, Anna said, her voice steady, yet it was edged with the pain she could no longer keep to herself. It's not about the cake or the presents. It's about the love behind it. Jake shifted uncomfortably, torn between his wife and his mother. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, searching for words that seemed to elude him. Anna felt her heart beating louder, a drumroll of longing for resolution. Mom, I'm sorry. I will make this right. Jake finally spoke, but the certainty in his voice was laced with uncertainty. Can we try again? Can we start now? Anna's chest tightened. This was the moment for forgiveness she had wished for, but part of her felt hesitant. Could she trust him again? Could she open her heart, especially with Carla present? I don't know, Jake. It hurts, she managed, her voice cracking. The vulnerability was raw, like a wound freshly opened. A deep silence filled the air, almost tangible, while the crowd watched with bated breath. Just then, a child's laughter broke through the tension, reminding Anna of the pure joys of life. In that brief moment, a spark ignited within her a desire to heal, not just for herself, but for their family. Yes, let us start anew, Anna said, the words tumbling out before she could think twice. But it will take all of us. Not just you and me. At the corners of her vision, she saw Carla's guarded stance shift just a fraction, but Anna chose not to linger on that. Hope began to bloom, fragile yet present, as she took a step forward, inching toward the possibility of a brighter tomorrow. But just as the tension began to lift, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room, stealing away the shared moment. Anna whipped her head in that direction, heart racing once again. What happened? She exclaimed, bracing for whatever news would come next, wondering if this storm was behind them or yet to come. The sound of shattering glass sliced through the delicate air, leaving a hole where hope had just begun to form. Anna's heart raced as she turned towards the commotion. People craned their necks, mouths agape, trying to decipher the source of the noise. Jake's face twisted in concern as he followed his mother's gaze. Stay here, Mom, he said, moving toward the sound. Anna's feet felt glued to the floor, her instincts screaming to remain where she was, yet her heart urged her to support him. As he navigated through the crowd, Anna caught sight of a cluster of children huddled near a table, little bodies frozen in surprise. A glass vase lay shattered on the floor, shards glinting like tiny stars scattered under the harsh lights. One of the little boys, a familiar face from the neighborhood, stood there wide-eyed, clutching a toy truck. It was an accident, he exclaimed, his voice a mixture of anxiety and innocence. Jake knelt beside him. It's okay. No one is hurt, right? He reassured, reaching out to place a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. But Mrs. Harris is gonna be mad, the boy whimpered, bottom lip trembling. The mention of the community center's strict overseer brought a ripple of tension through the crowd, and Anna could almost feel the collective breath being held. Anna's heart softened at Jake's composure. He was a good kid. He cared. Maybe they could fix what had been fractured. But just as hope lingered in the air, Carla's voice sliced through like a knife. Great. Just what we need. She snapped, arms still crossed, maintaining that defensive posture like a wall shielding a fortress. Anna felt her blood boil. The tension was thickening, palpable, and here they were teetering on the brink of something warm and genuine. Why couldn't Carla see that this was a moment for empathy, for understanding? She took a step forward, ready to defend Jake, to defend the joy in small moments. But Jake was already shifting into the role of peacemaker. Let us clean it up together, he said, rising to face the crowd. I'll help. It was just an accident. The whispers in the crowd began to fade as some started to stir, assisting in gathering the pieces. Anna felt a mix of pride warming her chest at Jake's maturity and a sting at Carla's glare. It felt as if they were holding two worlds apart, his caring heart wanting to embrace and create a sense of unity, and Carla pulling hard against anything that threatened her comfort. As the vase was swept aside, Anna turned back to Jake, meeting his earnest gaze. "It's okay, sweetie. You handled that well." But as Jake offered a tentative smile, a sudden realization washed over Anna. If this moment of vulnerability could mend something briefly, what would happen when the crowd dispersed? Would they return to the silence that loomed heavy between them? Or could this small act turn into a bridge for deeper conversations? Just then, Carla snatched Jake's arm, pulling him away from the buzzing crowd. "We need to talk. You did good, but really? A birthday celebration? Is that what's important right now?" Her tone held a sharp edge, like a cold wind slicing through warmth. Anna's heart sank. They were just beginning to turn toward the light, yet here were Carla's words, dragging them back into darkness. Anna searched for a way to intervene, to reclaim the moment. She stepped closer, raising her voice slightly above the noise. "We're weaving something new here, Carla. Can't you see? Can't we try?" But the protest in her voice landed into the fray, lost and diluted in the tension. Jake looked between Anna and Carla, apprehension brewing as he sensed the ripples building again inside them. "It's just a birthday, it can mean something," he faltered, confusion lining his brow. There it was, the opening for the conversation that needed to happen, yet the clock was ticking fast. Could they break free from this cycle before it swallowed them whole? The answer loomed on the horizon as Anna dug deep within, bracing herself for the battle ahead, one she hoped could be fought alongside her son, not against him. Anna felt a weight pressing down on her chest. It was the weight of too many unspoken words, the unshed tears tucked away like discarded wrapping paper after a failed birthday party. She saw the flicker of doubt in Jake's eyes and how his shoulders slumped ever so slightly under Carla's grip. It lit a fire in her, urging her on. "Carla," Anna said, trying to lower her voice, hoping to seep kindness into the sharp edges of their confrontation. "This is so much more than just a celebration. Don't you remember what it felt like to have people come together, to feel that warmth? This is for Jake. It matters to him." Carla pressed her lips together, eyes narrowing, but she didn't tug on Jake's arm any tighter. Instead, she hesitated, caught in a moment that felt like the pause before a storm. But why a party? When there's so much more going on? "That's exactly why," Anna responded, her own voice rising slightly as frustration bubbled. "Because we need to hold on to the good. If we don't embrace these moments, we just lose ourselves in all the chaos." Jake watched the two women. He felt like he was standing in the middle of a battlefield where he wanted so much for both sides to see one another. "Can't we talk after? Right now, kids are having fun and Mrs. Harris wasn't here for the crash." She won't know. Anna felt hope flickering anew. "See, Carla. It's not just about a party. It's about moments of joy, especially for the kids. We can't let one accident overshadow that. Are we willing to strip them of something that could give them smiles?" The crowd had thinned, but whispers still echoed. A few parents nodded, still cleaning up the remnants of the glass vase, but their expressions softened, a glimpse of warmth overtaking the gloom that had settled. "Let us just enjoy this day," Anna encouraged. "And if it doesn't go perfectly, then we handle it together. Just like a family." The word hung in the air, tethering the moment. Family. Anna held her breath, hoping that the term would ease the tension in Carla's shoulders. For once, they needed to see that the fractured pieces could still form something beautiful. With a reluctant sigh, Carla shifted her grip on Jake's arm, letting her fingers loosen. "Fine," she conceded, her voice still tight. "But if that woman comes in here and starts yelling, I'm not defending you too." Anna couldn't help the smile that broke across her face. "We'll handle it together, right?" Jake's face lit up. "Right. Come on, you two. Let us keep celebrating." As the attention shifted back, Anna's heart thudded in her chest. They were still treading on fragile ground, but for the first time in a long while, it felt like they might stand on it together. Laughter began to rise again, the faint strains of music filtering in from a corner. Kids rolled out balloons and began gathering, the energy of innocence lifting spirits higher. Anna caught Carla's eye, and for a second, a glimmer of understanding passed between them. "Maybe we could try this birthday thing together," Carla murmured, a tentative smile creeping onto her lips. "Just this once." Anna felt a swell of gratitude wash over her. Perhaps the cracks were healing, just a little, under the pressure of genuine experience. But as joy spread among the partygoers, a voice rang out from the back, thick with disbelief. "I can't believe they actually went through with this. A birthday? Really? Who cares?" The crowd tensed again, eyes darting. Anna felt her stomach drop. It was Mrs. Harris, and this moment of unity might just be about to fray at the seams once more. How could they stand together now that the storm had returned? The tension hung heavy in the air, slicing through the laughter that had just begun to bloom. Anna's heart raced. She turned to see Mrs. Harris standing at the entrance, her brow furrowed and arms crossed. The music faltered, a sudden quiet sweeping over the crowd like a hushed breath. "Mrs. Harris." Carla's voice sliced through the silence, but it wasn't the defense Anna had hoped for. "This is a celebration." "We're celebrating what?" Mrs. Harris scoffed, cutting Carla off. "A birthday? If you ask me, it's tasteless. My daughter is gone, and you think balloons and cake will fill that void?" The sharpness of her words struck harder than any fallen glass could. Anna felt the color drain from her cheeks. The weight of Mrs. Harris's grief seeped into the atmosphere, causing those nearby to shift uncomfortably. Joy is still important," Anna murmured, stepping into the line of fire. "It doesn't take away from your loss. We're trying to honor the past in a way that uplifts the present." Mrs. Harris glared at Anna, her expression frozen in disbelief. This moment, stark and raw, threatened to fracture the fragile peace. Anna felt the fraying threads of hope tugging against the heartbreak. Jake stepped up beside her, his body tense but eyes fierce. "She's right," he said, causing a ripple of surprise to sweep through the crowd. "Mom, we're not trying to dismiss what happened. But forget to live your life? That's not how this works. We need to celebrate our moments." Anna watched as the fight in Jake's voice stirred something in the crowd. People shifted their weight, unsure but intrigued. One by one, eyes began to soften just a bit. "Exactly," Carla chimed in, her voice more assured now. "We want to create smiles for everyone, even the kids. No one can replace the love you lost, but celebrating life doesn't mean it's forgotten." Mrs. Harris stood still, her mouth half open, struggling to find the words that could resist the tide of emotional reality washing over her. She looked at her son, at Jake's unwavering conviction, then at Anna, who stood steadfast at his side. "What about them?" Mrs. Harris finally said, gesturing toward the children who had resumed their play, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing overhead. "Do they even know what has happened? Do they really care?" In that moment, Anna noticed how Lily, a little girl with bright ribbons in her hair, clutched a cupcake and stared wide-eyed at Mrs. Harris. Hope was etched on her innocent face, and Anna felt a swell of conviction. "They care," Anna answered gently, her tone softening. "They care about joy, about laughter, about family, just like we all do. We're all here together. We're all family in our own way." A flicker of something perhaps understanding passed over Mrs. Harris's face, but it was gone too quickly, too wrapped in pain. "Fine," she finally said, voice tight but quieter. "If you want to celebrate, do it. Just don't expect me to join. But it's not what I want." And with that, she turned away, storming back toward the entrance. The air hung thick, and Anna could almost feel the collective breath held in the room. Whispered conversations started up again, uncertainty lingering like a distant echo. Anna placed a hand on Jake's shoulder, feeling the warmth of his presence. "We tried," she said softly, but the worry in her own heart gnawed at her. Would the healing come? A sudden burst of laughter erupted from a group of kids, as one of them stumbled and spilled icing on the floor, bringing a chaotic charm back into the moment. Anna couldn't help but smile, but she also felt the hollowness left behind by Mrs. Harris's absence. "We keep moving forward," Jake said with quiet resolve, determination playing in his expression. "Even if it's just us. We're a family." As they shared a hopeful glance, Anna knew the battle was far from over. But in that moment of unity and laughter amidst the shadows, Anna quietly vowed to fight not just for the party, but for all the fractured hearts that needed mending. Just then, the door opened again, and the commotion of more guests spilled in, including Mrs. Harris's husband, who had been outside. His confused gaze swept across the room, taking in the remnants of both joy and tension. "Is something wrong?" he asked, and Anna felt her chest tighten, ready for the next storm. Would this be a reckoning or a salvation? The man stepped into the room, his presence drawing everyone's attention. Mr. Harris surveyed the scene, lingering on the scattered balloons, the half-eaten cake, and the kids playing in a nearby corner, blissfully ignorant of the whirlpool of emotions around them. Anna felt the pinprick of anxiety in her chest as he took a few steps forward, uncertainty etched on his brow. "Is something wrong?" he repeated, confusion threading through his voice. The energy shifted, like a gust of wind before a storm. Jake, sensing the atmosphere, stepped away from Anna to face his father, his hands clenched at his sides. "Mom just got upset," Jake said, keeping his tone level. "She thinks we shouldn't be celebrating." "Not today." Mr. Harris closed his eyes for a brief moment, and when he opened them again, they glimmered with sadness. "I know today is hard." He paused, searching for the right words. "But it's also Jake's birthday. She just lost her way for a bit." A shadow fell over Jake's face at the reminder. "I get that, Dad, but we can't just put our lives on pause. What about all of us? What about Lily?" His voice, though steady, carried the weight of his struggle to balance honoring his mother's grief and living in the moment. The room felt smaller, the walls seeming to close in as Mr. Harris rubbed the back of his neck. "You have a point, son. But look around. Not everyone is ready to celebrate. Your mom is hurting." The low hum of conversation grew louder as murmurs swept through the guests. They were caught in the middle of a family dispute, witnesses to a heartbreaking clash between the resonance of loss and the pulse of life. Anna felt a surge of empathy for Mr. Harris. It wasn't he, just his wife, who had lost someone. He stood in the crosshairs, struggling to guide his family while grappling with his own pain. "We want to honor her," she said gently, stepping closer, hoping to bridge the divide. "But maybe we can do it in a way that also honors all of you. There can be space for both grief and joy." "Is that really possible?" Mr. Harris tilted his head, searching Anna's face for sincerity. To keep moving forward without leaving her behind? His question struck a chord in the room, where silence fell upon them like a blanket. Anna considered her words carefully, feeling the tremor of hope amidst the heaviness. "We're not forgetting her. We're remembering her as part of our lives, and she wanted us to celebrate the happiness she brought." Mr. Harris sighed, his shoulders drooping slightly under the weight of the moment. "This feels so impossible." A little voice piped up from the back of the room. It was Lily, holding her cupcake with frosting smeared across her cheek. "But I love cake," she blurted out, grinning. "And balloons. And presents." Laughter followed her words, a sweet reminder of innocence, bubbling up from a place that didn't know grief but understood joy. The tension began to ebb, and a small smile crept onto Mr. Harris' face, the corners of his mouth quirked up almost reluctantly. "See?" Jake said, heart beating with a new rhythm of hope. "We can find a way. We just need to try." Mr. Harris glanced at the children, at the balloons, at the love that was trying to weave itself back together in the room. The uncertainty on his face gave way to something softer, more vulnerable. Maybe we can try." Anna felt the air change. The gathering was still fractured, but there was a hint of possibility, a flicker of light breaking through the clouds. As they looked into one another's eyes, they understood what was ahead wouldn't erase the past, but it could pave a new path forward, and just as everyone began to relax, another figure entered the room. A tall woman with a knowing look. Anna's heart sank. Could it be Mrs. Harris again, or someone else who would stir the pot of emotions once more? The moment everyone turned to see the tall woman, a hush fell over the room. She paused, her expression shifting from surprise to something akin to resolve. It was Mrs. Harris, her hair pulled back tightly in a bun, eyes red-rimmed but shining with a touch of determination. "Mom!" Jake exclaimed, breaking the silence, a mix of relief and apprehension in his voice. He moved toward her, but she held up a hand, indicating he should stop. "I need to talk," Mrs. Harris said, her voice wavering yet insistent. She looked past Jake, focusing on Mr. Harris, who stood stiffly beside Anna. Anna sensed the imminent confrontation. She wished for everyone, especially Mrs. Harris, to feel the warmth of community wrapping around them right now, but the air was thick with unaddressed feelings. "It's not fair to do this today." Mr. Harris's words were heavy, steeped in concern. "We just wanted to find a way to celebrate." "Celebrate?" Mrs. Harris interrupted, her eyes narrowing. "Celebrate what? The fact that our son was born on the same day his brother passed away?" A collective gasp filled the room, shocking voices breaking the fragile silence like glass shattering. The shadows that loomed over the guests deepened as everyone registered the weight of her words. "Mama, please," Jake said softly, taking a step closer. He was both pleading and grounding. "It's okay to remember him. We can remember and still celebrate. We need to." "You think it's just that easy?" Mrs. Harris shot back, her voice louder now. "You think we can just shuffle him into the shadows during a birthday party?" The tension crackled in the air. Anna could feel her heart racing as she searched for a way to ease the storm brewing. "What if we include him in the celebration?" She suggested gently, "We can share stories, light a candle in his honor. Don't let the fear of grief steal today from Jake or Lily. They deserve to know joy." Mrs. Harris glanced at Anna, her gaze softening for the briefest moment. But no sooner had compassion flickered than the anger rose again. "Do you know how it feels to be surrounded by celebration when all you feel is emptiness?" The truth lit the room in a way that was both painful and beautiful. It was a universal struggle, to be caught between love and loss, between what was supposed to be a jubilant celebration and the stark reality of absence. Jake stepped forward again. "Mom, we're not forgetting him. We're bringing him with us. That's what family does. We carry each other with us." His voice, steady and pleading, cut through the fraught atmosphere. Even Lily, her cupcake momentarily forgotten, looked up at her mother, her innocent eyes wide and searching. Finally, she spoke, her tiny voice trembling. "Can he be my birthday friend?" she asked, the simplicity of her question tugging at hearts, pulling them closer to each other. For a moment, silence engulfed the room again. And then, something cracked in Mrs. Harris's wall of resistance. Tears brimmed in her eyes, threatening to spill over as she looked at her daughter. "I don't want him to feel like he's just a ghost in our lives." Mr. Harris stepped forward, reaching for her hand, a bridge of connection in a moment of need. "Then let him shine through our love. Just like he always did." Anna could see hope igniting again, breathing life into the stricken hearts in that room. It was a start, a fragile truce forged in the name of remembrance. No matter how hard the path ahead seemed, they were ready to walk it together, but as the energy shifted once more, Anna's gaze fell on the door. Someone else was peeking through the crack, and the tension in her stomach tensed again. Who else might walk in and complicate this fragile moment? What more could disrupt the healing that had only just begun to unfold? The door creaked open, and in stepped a familiar figure, one that sent a ripple of unease through the room. It was Grandma Edna, her expression uncertain, as though she had sensed the storm brewing inside before she ever arrived. With her silver hair framing a face etched by time and memories, Edna looked from her son to her daughter-in-law, confusion clouding her eyes. "What is going on?" she asked, taking a tentative step into the fray, her voice a low tremor that seemed to echo off the walls. "Mrs. Harris glanced at her mother-in-law, the tension in her shoulders still tight as a drum. "We were trying to celebrate Jake's birthday, but it feels..." Her voice cracked, and she shook her head as if she couldn't find the words to describe the heartache. Celebrate? Edna echoed, her brows knitting together. You can't celebrate without including him, can you? The room went still, and Anna held her breath, hoping that maybe Grandma Edna would become the unexpected ally they all needed. Of course not, Mrs. Harris said, her words clipped. But how could we celebrate when our joy is laced with grief? Edna stepped closer to her daughter-in-law. Grief is part of love, dear. They can coexist. She turned to Jake and Lily, her eyes sparkling with warmth. You know, I remember when we celebrated birthdays while remembering your brother. We talked about him, laughed about the funny things he did. It felt bittersweet, but it felt right, too. Jake clenched his fists, stealing a glance at Lily, who was now whispering something to Anna. His heart swelled with expectation. We can do that, he said, daring to hope. Remember him while celebrating. It doesn't have to just be one or the other. Lily piped up, her face hopeful as she raised her hand. Can we tell a story about him? The one where he fell off the swing? Her cheerful innocence shattered the heavy silence, and a chuckle escaped from Mr. Harris, which helped ease the smothering tension in the room. Yes. Jake exclaimed, that's the perfect story. It'll make everyone happy. He looked at his mother, pleading with his eyes. Can we try? For a moment, the electricity in the room shifted again, this time sparking life into the joy they had been yearning for. The heaviness began to lift, though Mrs. Harris still seemed torn. Lily leaned closer to her mother, her small hands gripping her arm. Mom, please. It's his birthday. And he loves cupcakes. Can we make him a special one? At last, Mrs. Harris took a deep breath, her defenses crumbling like the frosting on a worn-out cake. She met Lily's hopeful gaze and then swung her eyes back to Edna. I don't want him to feel forgotten. I don't want to feel forgotten. Edna rested her hand on her daughter-in-law's shoulder. You won't be forgotten, and neither will he. Let us bring him into this moment. Let us fill this room with his spirit. As the idea took root, Anna's heart soared with hope. They could do this. They could create a tapestry woven from both threads of joy and sorrow, celebrating life while embracing loss. Just then, the unease of the room washed over her again as she caught sight of the doorway. An unexpected figure was edging in, someone whose presence could change everything again. Who could it be this time? She thought, a sinking feeling in her stomach as she prepared for yet another complicated twist. What could this new visitor bring to a moment that was just beginning to heal? The door swung fully open, and in stepped Timothy, a shadow eclipsing the soft light of the hallway behind him. Anna's heart raced as his familiar figure became clear. He wore that same easygoing smile, yet the fleeting glance at Mrs. Harris told a different story, one of uncertainty and lingering tension. Hey, everyone. He said, the cheerfulness in his voice hanging awkwardly in the charged atmosphere. What did I miss? All heads turned toward him, and a tension thick enough to cut with a knife ensued. In a heartbeat, the room felt smaller, as if constricted by unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Anna noticed the way Jake's eyes lit up with recognition, and how Lily's little hands clutched the hem of her mother's shirt like it was a lifeline. Tim. Mrs. Harris stammered, glancing nervously at Edna, who appeared as if she could sense the storm brewing all over again. You're here. We were just deciding how to celebrate Jake's birthday. Timothy's expression shifted, registering the weight of her words. Celebrate? I thought we were just going to have cake. Yes. But it's more than that, Jake said, his voice rising with passion and hope. We want to remember him too. He took a bold step forward. We can talk about Jacob. Share stories. Make it a day for him. His plea hung in the air, both a statement of intention and a challenge. Timothy's smile faltered, the color draining from his face. Oh, sure, yeah, of course. But just like that, a flicker of sorrow passed beneath his surface, deepening the silence around him. Doesn't it feel unfair if we skip that part? Edna interjected, her gentle wisdom cutting through the tense atmosphere. A birthday is still about the one who is no longer with us. That love remains too. Anna watched Timothy squirm in his place, caught between joy and sadness, light and shadow. He opened his mouth as if to protest but closed it again, defeated. Maybe he hadn't come prepared for an emotional confrontation, maybe he wasn't ready to join this delicate dance of memory. Mrs. Harris crossed her arms, chestnut hair falling over one eye. We're just trying to make sense of it all feels like chaos with him gone. The mention of Jacob's name opened a fissure in Timothy, something aching and raw. I know it does, he finally managed. He was amazing. His voice grew unsteady, and Anna could feel the weight of his guilt and regret radiate from him. Jake interjected, can't we just try? Let us share a favorite story first. I'll go. His enthusiasm was like a buoy in the tumultuous sea of sorrow, and Anna felt a flicker of gratitude for his unwavering spirit. All right, Timothy said slowly, still caught in an emotional whirlwind, what do you remember about him? Lily was bouncing on her toes, unable to contain her excitement. The swing. The swing. She squealed, looking back and forth between the adults, urging them to follow. For a moment, a spark of hope ignited in the room as they began to share tales filled with laughter and mischief, the tension slowly dissolving like mist in the morning sun. The warmth of memories filled the corners of the room, pushing back the shadows that threatened to overtake them. But just as the atmosphere began to shift, Anna looked up, sensing another figure in the doorway. This time, a chill swept over her, as though the warmth of their moment was about to be interrupted again. She steadied her breath, wondering what this new arrival would bring to their tentative reconciliation. Who could it be now, and would they be a welcome addition or another storm on the horizon? As Anna braced herself, the familiar figure stepped into the room. It was Catherine, Jake's childhood friend and a beloved face of the community. She rushed in with an energy that filled the air, her eyes wide with excitement. Did I miss the cake? She called out, her laughter a bright note piercing through the heaviness. The atmosphere shifted, as if someone had pressed a reset button. The lingering tension faded slightly, replaced by recognition of Catherine's buoyant spirit. She was a reminder of childhood laughter and carefree days. Anna watched as Jake's face lit up, a spark of joy igniting in his eyes. Just in time. He grinned, his hands gesturing toward the table laden with treats, still awaiting their moment. The crowd began to buzz once more, children's chatter growing, and suddenly, the tumultuous emotions began to intertwine effortlessly with laughter. Hey everyone! What is going on? Catherine approached, oblivious to the earlier strife. I heard there was cake and a birthday boy. I had to come check it out. With each word she spoke, Anna could see the frostiness begin to melt away, like snow in the spring sun. It was heartening to see the others gravitate toward Catherine and her infectious joy. She didn't realize they needed this breather until she saw it happen, hearts opening, laughter spilling into the cracks left by pain. Jake! Lily shouted, tugging on his shirt. Catherine wants to celebrate. Can we light the candles now? A hopeful murmur rose among the gathered guests. Anna smiled, catching Catherine's eye, and was met with a supportive nod. Absolutely, let's make it a celebration worth remembering. Jake beamed, taking the lead as he moved toward the table laden with balloons and cake. Anna watched him, her heart swelling with pride. Maybe there was room for both joy and remembrance after all. As they gathered near the table, she thought back to that chilly morning, feeling the weight of despair lift inch by inch. In that moment, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that this was significant. There was a shift toward healing, toward seeing each other not just as family but as a community intertwined in joy and sorrow. Okay everyone, gather round. Jake called, grinning from ear to ear as he lit the candles on the cake. Let us make a wish together. The familiar tune of Happy Birthday began to echo through the room, voices beautiful and slightly off-key, yet they hit the notes just right in her heart. Anna joined in, allowing herself to feel the warmth of the moment wrap around her as tightly as a favorite quilt from her youth. She closed her eyes, wishing for connection, for understanding, sharing, and love to overflow, even among uncertainty. At the end of the song, Jake closed his eyes and whispered his wish before blowing out the candles. The sight of him grinning, all youthful innocence, melted many hearts. Laughter erupted, and the children cheered, buoyed by the moment's simple magic. "Can we share our stories?" Lily piped up excitedly as they gathered to cut the cake. "I want to hear about when Jake fell off the swing." "Yeah." Several voices chimed in, as parents exchanged knowing smiles, and the tension hung low but was slowly dissipating into something softer. Catherine took a deep breath, her heart joining theirs as she recalled when they were all just kids. "Do you remember the day we tried to rebuild that tree fort?" She began, laughter bubbling up, spreading like wildfire as each person chimed in with memory stories of joy tinged with loss. As the tales flowed, so did the understanding. Each story created a tangible connection that banded them closer together. Anna looked at Jake, his eyes glowing, and it filled her chest with warmth, and perhaps that was the breakthrough she had desired, a ripple effect of compassion, of acknowledgement, of shared love and joy. As they gathered around the cakes, however, Anna felt the gentle hand of Mrs. Harris on her shoulder, her expression softer than it had been earlier. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I didn't mean to shut everyone out. I just..." She paused, vulnerability shining in her eyes. "We'll remember him together," Anna replied softly, feeling a surge of unity. With every slice of cake, every shared smile, the barriers began to dissolve as the spirit of their departed loved one lingered in the stories. They were honoring his presence while creating new memories. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over everything, laughter mixed with tears, and joy married the sorrow that had once threatened to tear them apart. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt hope blooming its stubborn roots deep in her heart, and as the party continued, she knew that this was just the beginning of their journey toward healing together. So, if you've made it this far, there's one thing you must do: subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm. Your support really matters, and we need you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. It matters to us. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is important. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.